Today on Know and Grow, I want us to continue in Philippians chapter 2, and today we pick up the text in verse number 14. The Bible says, "Do all things without grumbling or disputing, that you may be blameless and innocent, children of God, without blemish, in the midst of a crooked and twisted generation, among whom you shine as lights in the world, holding fast to the word of life, so that in the day of Christ I may be proud that I did not run in vain or labor in vain." Let's just examine this idea for a moment. Paul is telling the church, encouraging, commanding even the church to do all things without grumbling or disputing, without complaining, without whining about it. Do all things without grumbling or disputing. Now, why would we do that, Paul? Why can we not complain about the things that we have to do? Well, he says it this way, that we want to be blameless and innocent children of God. We want to be above reproach, in other words. We don't want to give opportunity for the world to point the finger at us, the finger of accusation at us. Be blameless, be without blemish, be above reproach. Why is this important? Because we live in the midst of a crooked and twisted generation. And you and I know this. My goodness, do we see this. We live in such a crooked and twisted generation. Everywhere we look, there is the effect of sin that plagues individual after individual. Nothing there, the purity just is not there. Nothing is pure. Everything is twisted. Everything is crooked. The generation that Paul wrote to in the first century was twisted and crooked, and the generation that reads the text now is a twisted and crooked generation, and it needs light. And Paul says, as children of God, we shine as lights in the world. And here's the thing. If you want to shine as a light in the world, you can't do that if you're grumbling and complaining all the time. If you want to be a light in the dark world that you and I live in, you can't complain all the time. And that's what we're prone to do. We're so dissatisfied. We are often complaining. It amazes me. It absolutely amazes me if I'm in a fast food restaurant and somebody has walked up to a counter. They have ordered a nice meal, fairly nice, decent meal, right? They've paid pennies on it. I mean, they've just paid a few dollars for it. They've waited maybe 2 to 3 minutes for it. They sit down at their table, and it had mustard on it. Oh my goodness. And they go and pitch one more fit because this burger had mustard on it. That you just paid a few bucks for, you waited 2 or 3 minutes for. What a convenience, and you complain and pitch a fit because it had mustard on it, right? Or you sit down at a nicer restaurant and the same scenario, right? Somebody else is cooking for you, they're waiting on you, and you are complaining because it's got some condiment that you don't particularly want. It's I understand, you paid for it, you won't. I understand all those ideas. But my goodness, at the things that cause Christians to complain, the things that we grumble about and dispute about, it is almost sickening. Think about what the church does. Think about some of those business meetings you've been in. Some of the things that the church argues about. What color's the carpet going to be? That's the classic that most preachers lean to, because there's been so many disputes over that. Perhaps it's the style of music. The song's too fast, or maybe it's the volume. It's too loud, and somebody else says it's not loud enough. And the world around us is in chaos, and we are arguing and complaining about some of the dumbest things. Just to be frank, it is absolutely sickening what Christians will grumble about and complain about. John Newton told the story of a man who had to take a carriage all the way to New York and his wheel broke down. The wheel broke about a mile outside of the city, and he had to walk the last mile. And he walked smiling, singing songs, and happy, and people were, why aren't you complaining? Well, why should I complain? My carriage worked fine all the way up until the end. Friends, why are we complaining? As Christians, we live in a free country. There's brothers and sisters around the world that are being really persecuted. You know, we went through a season where we couldn't meet for 10 or 12 weeks, and we complained. Friends, we have no reason to complain. We're kind of in that last mile. Why complain? Why grumble? Shine as lights in the darkness. Do all things, Paul says, without grumbling or complaining. I pray that you will apply the truth of that text to your life this week. Have a great week.